Hello again, everyone. This is the Movie Bros podcast coming to you not live, definitely edited, after a movie that Hayden and I went and screened. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. If you are new, just because as a quick summary, as we try to do at the top, just in case this is your first time listening to us, we're two brothers who watch a movie from time to time, or more like every week, and
I was gonna say it's pretty consistent at this point,
which I appreciate that we are trying to be consistent.
more or less.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the coming months of whatever. Either way,
The holidays are
we
going to
watch
pick
them.
up, and we might have some issues
Yeah,
there. We'll see.
we'll see. If you are new, just as a summary, we watch movies, we banter and ramble and kind of discuss them, and then we post it for you fine folk. These are our own opinions, obviously. I definitely recommend most all of the movies to watch on your own and form your own opinions. These are either going to be on streaming services or, like the movie we're going to be talking about this evening, or today or this morning, whenever you actually listen to this. This will be a in theaters watch that we just decided to go see on a what is today, on a Wednesday evening or whatever day it is. Again, you're listening to this. And contrary to what we said in a previous episode, if you aren't new and you are keeping pace with this, if you are truly a fan, which again, thank you for that. We were going to do Bone Tomahawk, but then we had a chance to go see a movie this evening, so we figured we'd do that instead. So Bone Tomahawk will most likely be next week's movie. So stay tuned again for that. That also means you have an extra week if you want to sit down and watch it for yourself before the actual discussion gets posted. That is on Netflix, I believe. And without further ado, I guess the movie we just watched, literally like we both got home from the movies at our separate houses, and we're just going to talk about it pretty freeform, not a ton of notes this time. It's called A Real Pain. This is a 2024 release, and I don't want to get too much of the fast facts away, considering that's Hayden's gig and not mine.
Hey,
But
I have
have
one
at it.
job on the podcast. Let me do it. So again, as we say, this is called A Real Pain, released quite literally this month in November. This is written, directed, produced, and edited by Jesse Eisenberg. This is his second feature film. The other
What
one
was
I
his
just
first?
looked. It's something I'd never heard of. I mean, I literally just looked it up because I was also curious. I'd never heard of it either.
What is it?
I'm trying to stall for time while I quickly search for IMDb. So he also
I
made a
got it.
movie called When You
No,
Finish Saving the World,
Mm-hmm.
which
I saw it.
has Julianne Moore and Finn Wolfhard. I
I
have not
saw it.
seen this. IMDb gives it a 5.6 out of 10, so it doesn't really sell me on it.
Yeah, I rated it a 3 out of 5. Like again, it was fine. It was one of those movies again, better than Tales from Earthsea, where it wasn't so bad that it was like it felt very in the middle, kind of boring. I don't
Yeah.
honestly remember much about it. I did see it. I did log it on my letterbox, but
Okay. Well, this is not that. I mean,
thank
not
God.
to jump ahead. I felt like this was pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah,
we're
I'd say
we're
this is pretty good.
we're in a couple point step up in quality, but I am getting ahead of myself here. So this is behind the camera and more or less in front of it. This is a Jesse Eisenberg vehicle. So there is no specially composed music for this movie. Instead, they opted to use a lot of classical music. Specifically, this has a ton of Chopin, who we
He's
just watched it.
Polish,
What's the
right?
country they were in? Poland.
Poland.
Polish. Yes. Look, man, this is why I take notes when we watch things because I'm so much better with like reminders. Anyway, yes, he is Polish, and that fits in with the whole setting, with everything about this movie. I'm a huge fan of classical music, so I was having a great time. Duncan looked a little confused.
There. Okay, we'll talk about it, but yeah, I
That's
have
fine.
thoughts.
Cinematography here is by Mikhail Dymak, who I would also assume is probably Polish. Just just by the way this name is spelled, it looks European to me. This stars, again, Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran Culkin, Will Sharp, Jennifer Grey, and Kurt Egeowan. And that's all I got.
Wait, is Jennifer Grey like the That is Jennifer Grey. Okay, I'm also looking this up on my phone on Letterboxd. That's like the girl from Dirty Dancing. That's the girl from Ferris
Yes.
Bueller. I did
Yeah.
not realize that. She actually like
I mean,
for how long she doesn't look that bad.
oh, I mean, I let's just jump into everything then. I
Go for it.
appreciate that they casted a host of people who all looked like normal people. Like
Yeah, this definitely felt like they almost just pulled a bunch of people off the street. That's why I didn't even realize that was who she was.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize until I just looked it up now.
And to be honest,
Well, as
I
we
didn't
have
even
been in the
realize
past couple of us,
I didn't even realize
go
that
right ahead.
Chopin is Polish until the end when they go to Chopin Airport. I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even think of that."
Mhm.
I
Mm,
thought they just like just randomly picked Chopin because he makes
I
nice
mean,
music.
that's also a good reason too. That's beautiful piano music. So, as we have in the past couple episodes, why don't we lead off with our ratings of the movie, and then we can delve into some probably less specific banter than we normally do, but some banter nonetheless.
You first. What did you rate it? Out of 5, including half stars.
I'm torn. I don't know because literally it's only been 40 minutes since we watched it.
I don't know if it's as much of a you movie as you think. Like all the
I
uncomfortable.
like this kind of movie, but it is certainly not what I would gravitate to knowingly because if you've seen the commercials for this, this makes it look like it's going to be a lot
Mm-hmm.
funnier.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I am glad and satisfied with the movie that we got, but that is not what I was expecting.
Well,
So I'm going to go ahead and
and to
say,
preface that, there was jokes. Like we should not say
oh,
that
no,
this
no,
is
no, there
strictly like
is.
not.
But like,
We all like. There's only probably 10 of us in the audience. There's several points where everyone laughed.
well, sure. I mean, but like, there is a lot of just really well
Rough.
written, uncomfortable situational drama. And that's great too. I didn't know that's what we were getting into. So I would say I would give this like a 4 out of 5. I did really,
I'm
really like it, but I don't know if I would say it's perfect.
no me neither. And I see. I want to give it more than 3.5, but I don't know if I want to give it a 4. Like I want to give it like a 3.8 or something like that.
See, I don't think it's low for 3.5, but I don't know if we can really get by with saying, it's 3 points. I don't know if you want to split hairs that much.
No, no,
So I
no. No,
opted
I'm
for
just saying
4.
like yeah, I am leaning more towards 4 than towards 3.5. But I don't know. I'm saying yes. I would probably give it a 4, but I'm saying I am tentative to do so.
Well, is there anything you want to lead off the top of your head?
Yeah. Where to start? So let's maybe okay, the music. Let's just get this out of the way because I think it was
Sure.
so the whole only basically using Chopin for the entire movie, and his music is beautiful. And this is, I think, why this knocked a little bit off for me was it worked for a lot of the scenes, but there's a few that like I don't know. They randomly was like, okay, and we better if it's time to put some music in, but we're only using Chopin. So again, it was all beautiful music, but sometimes I don't know if it fit the tone for what was happening on screen.
So I think there's a twofold reason for that. I think it's a money saving cost because this is still a fairly small production. And I think they did it for thematic reasons because he's Polish.
Which again, I get the reasoning, but this like I'm thinking for the like if you looked at just the movie objectively, that's why it's losing the star, or maybe
That's fair.
that's
That's
half a
fair.
star for me.
I guess that's just a
I
personal preference of mine. I love me some classical music, so
Oh yeah, no, again,
I
I
didn't have a
like the
problem with
music,
that.
but I'm saying, does the music fit exactly for what the movie needs in each part of the movie? Like this, there are several parts where I was like, "Oh, this is really beautiful," and it's like everything is coming together nicely. It's the like when they're at the illy lit pub or the restaurant or whatever, where the whole like heavy conversation over dinner happens when he goes to the bathroom,
Yes.
and then he starts playing piano, and it's beautiful. Like yes, that all fits. But randomly after I can't honestly think of any other moment because it's almost too fresh in my brain. I need time to process it. But uh,
I would say
I don't know. They
the
would
part
cut
that
to.
that sticks out to me, at least, that doesn't fit is that immediately after they leave the concentration camp area, they move right back in to
Hmm. Yes.
the same nocturne piece, which again, it's a
Hmm.
beautiful piece. I think that would almost serve to have no music on it at all. It would highlight some of Kieran's acting there more.
which maybe a segue to the casting slash acting ability, but man, did not need any more highlighting than he already used.
I
Wow.
mean, for
Granted,
some
that is
for someone who
props
is
that is props
playing.
to the writing, that is props to the directing. That's I mean, it's not just him, obviously, but
Oh no, for sure, for sure.
wow. And again, I think we talked about this on our way out of the theater, but you can't only have a guy like that. That's why yes, Jesse Eisenberg is playing Jesse
He's
Eisenberg
playing
more
a
or less,
Jesse
but you
Eisenberg character.
yeah, but you need that kind of guy to be so polarizing compared to Kieran Culkin.
Absolutely. And for someone who's arguably playing a secondary character, it's like Jesse Eisenberg's character is the main character.
I mean,
Kieran
he
Culkin
is,
just
but
carries this movie. Like he is this would be like award nomination territory. Like he is so good
mhm.
in this.
Oh,
Like he
yeah,
is
he's
so
excellent.
good playing this deeply conflicted, deeply emotionally depressed person who's trying to act outwardly, exuberant and happy around all these other people. Like he comes across so nuanced and layered. It's
Yes.
so good.
I mean, anything from like having kind of a meltdown about being at the front of the train, and then like 10 minutes later, he's like, he had this tick that obviously it's part of his character, and they didn't like explicitly highlight it, but so many points where he's like punching someone or like tapping their arm, like
Yeah, he's
the
he's like
whole
slapping things. And
yes,
so if you had to choose a awkward, like, drama moment,
boy,
which one do you think you'd go with? Because for me, it comes down to, are we gonna do the train bit, or are we gonna do the bit where
eh.
they're in the cemetery? Because my god.
Well, they're different kind of awkward because the train bit,
Kinda,
I don't know if
sorta.
well, the train bit, it feels like he's there is a little bit more like a nuanced, just like it's clearly there's some emotional something that's coming up, like that the train is bringing up for him. Whereas the cemetery feels a little bit more egotistical, to be honest, about him and
Yes.
James. Where yes, they're very similar and they're very again uncomfortable. But see, I was thinking maybe more, man, I don't know. Like when they first sit down the very first morning when they're going around the circle, like
Oh my
introducing
god, right?
themselves. Exact like that.
Oh,
Because there are people like that.
yes, I know people like that,
Yes.
who are,
And
like, totally domineering in a conversation, and they don't realize it because they're so used to it.
sure. And just like there are people like Jesse Eisenberg who are like almost like pathologically the other side of that spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
And just personally speaking, I am neither of those people.
I
It's
think
just,
I don't know if anyone is 100% those people. Like,
well,
while
no,
these
probably
these do
not.
come across as realistic people, they are very clearly more exaggerated here. I think if I had to, throw myself in either camp, I'm probably more Jesse Eisenberg than Kieran Culkin in this, but I wouldn't say I'm, you know, as much of a doormat as Jesse Eisenberg is in
Yes.
this.
Yes. What the fuck was like again, there's a lot of moments in this that are that they're comedy because they're more like, what the fuck was that? Like why did I what the hell?
Are we
Like
talking about
when
grandmother's feet?
well, A, the feet, which they kept like they brought back like two or
What
three
was
different
that?
times. In a movie that's only like an hour and 30 minutes, they referenced that like three different times
It's
about
so
how he no, but
why?
see what I was thinking of was he's like, "Oh, can I see you in the bathroom for a second?" And he like closes the door and they had a conversation that they could have had anywhere. But he's like, "Oh, we're gonna like lock ourselves in the bathroom in our
Oh
hotel
yeah, they do
room."
that twice.
It just that is it's refreshing comedy. It doesn't feel like generic, like not slapstick, literally slapstick at the end, but or I don't know. It felt a little
It's
bit
it's
more
it's good situational comedy that doesn't feel like
yes,
I'm watching a sitcom, because that is literally what sitcom means, situational comedy. But usually when you say that, it's, you're talking about something like Friends or Big Bang Theory.
sure,
This is a
sure.
lot more like realistic situational comedy, like where yes, they are playing exaggerated versions of real life people, but they feel a lot more like real life people when they're doing it.
Speaking of exaggerations, when they're all posing with the statue,
Oh my god, I wanted to
My god.
crawl inside of my chair. That's so uncomfortable and insensitive. Oh my god.
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel less like, yes, it's uncomfortable and insensitive, but it's also hilarious. Like the extent he's like, "Oh, I want to be a medic. Quick, tie off this statue's leg," or just, I don't know. It's just the commitment to the bit makes it funny.
I mean, it's equal part cringe and funny, and I think that is this movie's biggest takeaway is that, like,
Oh, that's the whole
that is
movie. Yeah.
such a hard balance to do, and it's done so well here.
Maybe on a separate tangent, but I'm looking at again what I score movies out of. But what are your thoughts on the cinematography? Because I mean, it was a little more subtle, but I was a big fan.
I really, really liked it. I think it never becomes lazy or bad, but it definitely starts out good and either dips up into great or just stays good the whole time. I think that it is color graded well too. I like the fact that it's kind of overblown whites and yellows. Makes everything look, I don't know, it makes it look like they're uncomfortable to be in the sun.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why the the lighting and the coloring. It again. I don't know why this makes sense in my brain, but it looks European to me. Like it doesn't look like a place that would be in America. Not just like what
I
like
don't
the
know
not.
how to even
I don't know.
explain
I
that
don't know
to
how to
me.
explain it, but just
No, I'm gonna need
the
one.
like. Well, I don't know. I feel like everything is a little more softer. There's nothing. Yeah, there's no harsh like. This is green. This is blue. Everything is very mellow. Which again, I don't know why my brain associates that with Europe, but it does. But even towards the end, when it's him and or it's when it's the two leads and they're on their own. Yes, there's a little bit more like when they're walking through alleyways with neon lighting and it looks fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But or
Well, it's
like
like
I don't
it's
know
like
when
the whole
even
sequence when they're on the roof and they're both smoking and they're
mm-hmm.
having their,
Yes,
like, I mean, granted, neon lighting always looks good, but there's a reason. It
always.
looks so good.
And as someone who has almost no experience with Kieran Culkin prior to this, because yes, I know he's like one of the people from Succession. I
Well, that's
never
what I'm trying to
watched
think
it.
of.
I've
Like,
only seen his
I
brother in Home Alone.
well, obviously, everyone's only seen his brother. It's Macaulay Culkin. Everyone knows who Macaulay Culkin is. I know I've seen Kieran Culkin in something else, but I can't remember what it is. It's gonna bug me. I'll think about it.
I will also say that I like that it is in Poland. Like all this, like it's not just a set
Oh yeah.
somewhere.
Well, I mean, again, money saving, but
Sure, but
obviously
like
also in service of the plot.
exactly. Well, and a lot of, I mean, there's surprisingly like, oh, it's a little more. I don't think industrial is the right word, but it's the only one I can think of about some of the cities that they show. But I was like, oh, it's still like pretty.
Yeah, I do like that there is no attempt to make it look like touristy. Like,
Hayden.
yes, obviously they are in real places, but like I I like the fact that there's no attempt to try, even from like a set direction part, because there's very little, but there's no attempt to try and clean up anything. It all looks obviously like real places.
I know where you know Kieran Culkin from.
Is it gonna irritate me when you tell me? Don't tell me. I
I'm
want to
not
figure
saying
it
it.
out. I will figure it out eventually. I'm gonna try and picture him without a beard because I think that's what's messing me up.
Yes, he in the thing you've seen him in, which you and I have seen many times, he does not have a beard.
Was he in Scott Pilgrim?
Yes, he's the gay roommate, and also great as a gay roommate.
Well, I mean, again, I would love to rewatch Scott Pilgrim. That's a fantastic movie as well. So you said that this got knocked down some stars because of the music for you. Was there anything else you had issues with?
Maybe a little bit of like how they shaped the narrative of like it never felt like the classic like right like building to a crescendo and then like expelling that energy of a crescendo. Like it, I don't know.
That's fair.
It felt like they hit something when they hit the concentration camp, and then it's like, wait, there's another 25, 30 minutes. We should like restart our energy kind of thing. And like it's still there's still a moment when they actually got to their grandma's house, but it felt a little hollow.
Yeah, to me, I feel like not that. I mean, I feel like they should have switched those events in the timeline because you're right,
Yes.
it does feel like
Yes.
the
No,
mothers
where
or
they actually get emotional, yeah, they should put that at the end.
well, exactly, for how much of a lead up because they keep mentioning that, "Oh, we're gonna go visit our grandma's house, and we have all these deep connections and memories of my grandma." Once they actually get there, it does feel like
Mhm.
it falls flat. There's not a whole lot emotionally going on. They just take some rocks, and there's a bit of a some comedy with the
Which
differing
was still
languages,
good.
which is fine. But if you're gonna spend a majority of the movie building up that as your character's quote unquote final destination, it should feel like it matters more to them. And I don't feel like that comes across. The concentration camp, on the other hand, that is super powerful. And I love how they took all the dialogue and all the music out, and then they just have this is what this room is. And then we have like a static camera shot, and you can
Mhm.
just hear people like breathing and shuffling around the room. That works
It's
so well.
it's good. Something that I don't wanna allude to too much because I've already sat down and watched it and taken notes, but when you watch Bone Tomahawk later, Hayden,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very different. They decided to do a very specific route, and I don't know if I'm a fan, so I appreciate
Okay. What does that mean?
what's this there is no music in the entire movie.
What?
There is not a single there is one and I clocked it and I wrote it down, there is one little violin for about 20 seconds, otherwise the movie
That's
has literally no music in it.
that's incredibly bizarre.
Well, that's why,
I'll have
like,
to watch that. I mean,
now that I
obviously
s
I will, but
well, yeah, no, I'm saying that compared to this where, yes, there are parts that don't have music in this that make it more powerful, but there's still music and sound. I don't know, it just well, I mean, we'll talk about that next week, but I'm I see the juxtaposition between the 2 just makes me appreciate this one that much more, and that's why
sure.
I think the concentration camp hit so much harder.
Yeah. So for me, why this lost some stars, I think, is that there's no story arc, not in the way that I usually expect there to be.
Not
There's
really.
no character change from the beginning to end, and that's okay if you want to just do a character study, which I feel like this definitely
Is
fits into that category more because Kieran Culkin's character is what you're here to watch, obviously.
well,
But
I mean,
like,
there's a certain amount of redemption when they are, like, having the long hug at the airport at the
I
end, but
mean, sort of. I don't feel like Kieran Culkin's or Jesse Eisenberg's character are really any different than when they started, and that's all right if I just want to like do an examination on their characters' dynamics and how they interact. That's okay. I completely enjoyed the movie that way, but I feel
well, for
like
sure.
if you want to watch this for here's a beginning, here's a middle, here's an end, here's how your characters branch and change over that time, you might be disappointed. So I think for me, the fact that that isn't really present and it wasn't as funny as I thought I was going to be watching is what knocks the stars down for me. So I'm still sitting at like a 4.5 out of 5 because what we got I think is still really good.
No, again, for A lower budget, B, a director who does not have a lot of experience directing or writing or anything like that, and for a very small cast, yeah, no, I'm a fan of what we saw. I would,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
again,
Did I say 4.5 out of 5? I thought I think I meant 4, just 4 even.
yeah. When you said 4.5, I was like, it's
No,
almost
no, no.
perfect. What are you talking about, dude?
I misspoke. It's a solid 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would agree. Like again, if I could give it like a 3.8, I would, but I would say a 4.
Yeah.
I also think part of the experience of any movie, if it's on a laptop or if it's on home or in a theater, is partly because of the theater itself. So
Yeah.
Hayden and I,
Let's do a little talk about the theater.
well, so I work at a theater. We went to I mean, we are not strangers to the movie theater experience. If you are in the roughly northwestern
Well,
part of Washington area,
let's not dox ourselves if at all possible.
what?
You don't know what that term means?
Have we talked about this before?
Doxing?
Yeah, I think I could have sworn I'm having some deja vu. Yes, I know what it is. So
Okay, I
no,
was
we
gonna
don't.
say, like, am I just that much more terminally online than you are that you don't know what that word
I mean,
means?
I know what it is, but I think someone had to explain it to me like a week or like I'm not online that much. I guess I don't know.
I Yeah, that's fair.
Either way, we went to a like 3 screen like smaller venue. Not a I don't think it's necessarily like a mom and pop, but it's
No, this
definitely
is definitely an art house theater.
yes, that's the right word I was thinking of.
So, well, I'm not gonna spell out my address or whatever, but this is called The Grand. It's in Tacoma, Washington. I like it. It feels very, different and unique. I've seen a couple movies there, but it is certainly an experience if you've only gone to things like AMC.
Well, for sure. I mean, you're getting very different experiences, and the more and more I go to movies, I don't know, I feel like I think it's very movie specific. Like this kind of movie, yes, this is the kind of theater that I'd want to watch it at. But if I go to like, not that it's like the movie or anything, but if I went to go see Gladiator 2, I would probably want a bigger screen with better sound and
100%.
yes. So like I saw again. I still really want you to see this and for us to talk about it, but I saw Licorice Pizza in a little like one-off. I think maybe they had 2 screens. It's called the Beacon in Beacon Hill, like South Seattle, and it totally makes the experience that much better or worse, obviously.
Well, I've heard of it.
But yes, just I just brought it up because I think more and more people to realize that you can definitely influence how the movie hits by where and how you watch it. That's all.
Yeah, and I think I would build upon that to say that if we had seen this in a larger theater, it would make the movie feel more lacking
Mhm.
because you're
Oh, no,
expecting
I
so much
liked
more expectation.
the intimate, smaller screen, smaller audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, just to mention, the theater we saw this at was having Shrek's Giving, where they have a sing-along Shrek performance, and everyone comes in costume, and they watch it on Thanksgiving night. So that's the kind of theater that we went to.
And a touch base on this only because I've got the trailer playing on mute with subtitles on a loop off YouTube while we're watching or while we're talking. That way, it might jog some memories. But after I think it's after the first joint they have when they sneak onto the roof after he
Yeah,
just runs and kicks a door. It's them on their beds, like, zoning out, eating Pringles, and then it just cuts to them, and they're watching just, like, the loading screen for the hotel. It's so, like, very good,
that yes,
like, it's not, like, it's not low bar humor, but it's also something that
correct.
most everyone can relate to,
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I
and
don't know if I have any much else to say other than it's good. I enjoyed it. I wish it was a little bit better.
it definitely makes me wanna go on a train trip more. I don't know, I like trains.
I like train.
The lighting in, I mean, the whole movie, obviously, but, like, when they are at the dinner where they explain things. The lighting is fantastic.
Oh yeah. I
If
mean,
you the cast is a small, but yes, Hayden referenced. I mean, someone like Jennifer Grey is in this, but the tour guide who in the movie he's British. I don't know if the actual actor is British, but you may or may not know him from the most recent season of The White Lotus. He's one of the main leads in that. So there's just kind of an interesting, like, oh, I haven't really seen you in anything else kind of moment. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's more. I mean, yes, it is going to be a lighter episode. We didn't have a chance to take notes or anything like that, but we just wanted to actually record something that's coming out now and not sometime in the past.
and we'd like to do a little bit more things like this in the future. Maybe slightly more structured, but we would like to start doing some more currently showing movies instead of just doing things from 2008. So
Fair, fair, fair.
you may hear more things like this in the future. You may not. Our schedules are sometimes not as
Full.
open to our planning as we think it should be. So you'll have to wait and see.
If there's any movie either out now or coming out soon that you think, hey, maybe the guys, maybe the fellas, maybe the bros would like to go see and review, tell us. And just as a reminder on how to tell us those things or comments or complaints or compliments that you may have on the podcast, we are on
Smooth.
Instagram at the movie underscore bros. We are on Spotify. We are on Amazon Music. We are on Apple Podcasts now. So we are in all the places that you might hear or see podcasts.
That
And
yes, very true.
just as a reminder, next week will be Bone Tomahawk. And if you didn't see it, because this will be posted most likely sometime around this coming Sunday, which means before that we will have posted our Thanksgiving special feature. So once a month we will pick a couple movies that have to do with whatever holidays that month, and we kind of do like a two movie episode. Excuse me. So if you missed that, check it out on Spotify. That will be Knives Out and Fantastic Mr. Fox for Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
And before we sign off, folks, we will want to do our icebreaker audio. Again, as just a quick reminder of what this is. We are more than just voices in your ear. We want to make sure you know who we are as people and not just our movie opinions. So every week we ask a kind of generic icebreaker question you might hear at a new job or at a new school or anything like that. So you can kind of know who we are. Let's see. Hayden, what subject or subjects do you think should be taught in school that isn't?
Subjects should be taught in school. Can we expand that question, like be required for passing, or or is it just subjects?
You can interpret this however you'd like to interpret it.
Uh, okay. I
Maybe
think
it's
that I think that let me think, man. I don't know.
well,
While I think,
while
why
you
don't you
think,
answer?
I would make it a requirement that everyone needs to take basic, like, maybe like the wording is like basic finances, like how to manage your I mean, I don't know, like really basic stuff like that, that it's just either never taught or like if unless your parents actually sit you down like, hey, this is how a credit card works, this is how your credit score works, this is how you pay rent, this is how you like budget, all the really basic stuff that like it's kind of between the lines for most public schools. I don't know about private schools or charter schools, but still,
We were not
I
that
think
fancy.
that would be, I think, very helpful to a lot of people because as kids, you just, especially if you come from like a household that is not even super rich or super poor, just like generic, whatever, whatever's left of the middle class, you may not have a lot of knowledge on that. So when you're out on your own, you're kind of fucked. Because that's something that I took a while. That is something I wish I had learned how to do better.
So that was going to be my answer, but I think since I obviously already agree with you, what I'm going to go ahead and say is that I think that cooking and home ec, since those often get like
Hmm.
lumped into the same thing, those should be required because there are so
I
many
agree.
people who like I don't even know how to cook chicken. Are you serious? Like, don't get me wrong. I get it. I live off of like frozen pizza and sometimes waffles, but like I still know how to make food. And and that's not even like a and it I think it used to be a lot more of a gendered thing, but
Sure, of course.
that's like a normal life skill to be able to know how to feed yourself because that also ties in to the whole, financial security thing. You should not be eating out for every single meal you have. You
Of
should
course.
know how to make food. That's not like I don't feel like that's a controversial opinion to have. I think you should know how to do that.
Agreed.
So I would say
Is okay.
either that or I would say it would be required to take some sort of like artistic class. It doesn't have to be painting or drawing or any specific. I think there is so much you can learn about yourself, so much you can learn about the things you enjoy if you are in that environment, whether that's for you. I know if you enjoy pottery a lot. I like painting as well. I think that's an important experience for people to have, even if it's not something that they pick up as a hobby.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, all the things that I are not like hard. Maybe I don't know what the right terminology, like hard skill versus a soft skill. Like in like theater, growing up doing that at a high
Oh yeah,
school, like
sure.
the amount of like public speaking and knowing how to like articulate and everything like that that transfers on to do other things in life. How you can lead a team, you can talk to people, you can make social interactions without being like an idiot. I don't know.
Well, it's not even just that. I think that I don't know. I think that I guess teaching artistic expression is the wrong phrase, but I guess something close to that is an important skill, and I think that it should be a requirement that you have to take at least some kind of artistic credit. I think that,
Sure. Well, it's
you know,
you've
I think
seen
that would
Dead
be
Poet Society, right?
beneficial to everyone. Yeah, I've seen it. Haven't seen it in a while, but yes.
Well, there's literally a bit where like Robin Williams is like, "Oh yeah, like sure we need math, we need lawyers and stuff like that, but like the actual arts is why like we that actually like gives us that's what makes us human." Like
Yes, that's that whole scene where he's, like, kneeling on the floor and yeah.
yes, yes, which I totally I mean, a great scene, great
Again,
writing, great acting, but like I do agree with it.
I mean, it's a solid point, though. I would say, you know, home economics from the whole cooking side of things, and then some sort of artistic requirement is what I would say. But I would also throw in with your answer of financial literacy just in general.
Mhm. Yeah, the amount of things I was like, "Oh man, if I had started doing this thing at age 8, even just 18 instead of like 23 or 24 when I really got my shit together."
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
either way. Uh,
Absolutely.
maybe to add on to this question, but is there a class that was either required or that you just took in general that you think is not as worthwhile as others, as generously speaking? Like, "Oh man, fuck that class. What a waste," kinda thing.
What a way
Maybe not a
I
waste, but
don't know. Well, no, I know what you mean. I mean, not to get too into my own personal history, backstory, whatever you wanna call it. Me and
the
school
lore,
didn't
dude?
always see eye to eye. Oh, yeah, my lore. Me and school did not always see eye to eye, so I guess my initial gut reaction is to say, "Oh, well, all of this was bad." No, I just wasn't a great student, so I don't know if I'm the best person to ask that question. I do know there has not been one time in my life that I've ever needed to know long division.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have a very similar opinion about a lot. So when it was never really explained, oh, why are we learning the things? Like, where's the actual application of this? So yeah, I probably could have been a like I was one of those like I wasn't stupid, but I just didn't have a lot of drive or interest because I didn't see the reason why I
Well,
needed to know about
exactly.
why Napoleon did the thing or like I don't know, just random shit that I'm like I
So
will never use this in my fucking life
that's actually
unless
something
I'm
that I
teaching.
wish was made more interesting to me, is that I wish history classes were made more engaging instead of just read this out of a textbook, because history is interesting. History is important to understand, the modern day politics and the way the world works. I think it is a shame that it is in my experience in high school is that it wasn't thought of as a super important subject. So I almost wish that there was a little bit more effort from the teachers I had. I wish there was a little bit more effort to make it seem more engaging.
Well, yeah, I mean, almost any subject can be something of interest or not, totally depending on which teacher you got. That's what I always thought was kind of shitty. Because, oh man, of all that, maybe this class that I didn't enjoy, didn't like tune in for was just because the teacher was, oh, I've been here for 20 years. I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to tell them to look through this textbook kind of thing.
Yeah, that was 100% my experience with history classes. My teacher didn't look like she gave a shit, and it really carried across to all the assignments and everything. So,
Is there a class that was a class that you didn't take that you wish you did take? If that makes any sense.
I did not take writing about media just because I don't believe it was available when I
Great
was
class.
there.
Great class.
It wasn't an available class when I was I think, like, it was implemented after I graduated. And then I would actually like to have taken pottery. I think that's always seemed interesting, but, I was all wrapped up in my AP painting
Band?
and my band, and, and then the other classes that I had to take, so it was the
Sure.
elective that I was interested in, but I knew I was more interested in these 2 other things.
What I was always found that was a bummer was, like, there was no pottery, there was ceramics, And
Or
basically,
yeah,
the
maybe that's what
first
I'm thinking of.
well, no, the first I think it was the first year, like, if you took pottery for a year, which is usually only a half a year class, so you had to take pottery 1 and 2, or ceramics 1 and 2, it was never anything on the wheel, it was, like, hand building and, like, sculpture stuff on a tile, which was not that interesting, to be honest. Like, it was fun, but now that I've actually done wheel thrown stuff, it's like that feels like this is what pottery or ceramics, whatever you want to call it, should be. Which I feel it's unfortunate that that wasn't an opportunity in high school. I do wish, though, that looking backwards, I don't know how much of it I would have. I don't think it was an actual. Maybe it was an after school class. I think it might have been a club. I don't remember. That's another thing. I feel like I could have done more like other activities of that time. I was mostly just like hanging out with buddies. Either way, I digress. Um, I think there was a like
I mean,
entrepreneur, like small business, like
I don't remember
club.
either.
Because I think there's a marketing class, but that's not. I mean, it's fun and interesting, and I do wish I took that. But I think something more like, oh, how to run a business, which sounds more interesting, at least to me. That's something that in the last couple of years I've
Sure.
grown more interested in.
Well, it's just like I was part of a comic book drawing club for 2 years until everyone else aged out and I was like the only person there. But I don't remember those other clubs being there at that time. Either that or just Kentwood didn't really advertise it very well, so I
Or whatever school we may or may not have gone to. Either way, yeah, that's. I feel like we've talked enough for a icebreaker audio, and we can save more of our lore, our backstories for the next time. But yep,
very
that's
true,
our
very
thoughts
true.
on potential school classes, not classes, real ones, fake ones, things we'd change, things we'd keep the same, all that jazz.
Well,
And
before we sign off, let me ask you, is there anything you've seen recently or looking forward to watching?
oh yeah, well, let me quickly look at my. I've so we lost power for quite a bit last week because of a cyclone bomb that
Oh,
hit
see,
Washington.
up up where I'm at, we never lost powers.
You mean down where you're at, dude? South is
Whatever,
down.
whatever, whatever.
Um, Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to watch a ton. Obviously, I watched Bone Tomahawk, A Real Pain. I rewatched The Holdovers, which is very good.
I love that's a fantastic movie. Another very good character study.
I rewatched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which I think it might be my favorite Harry Potter because it's
Listen, you're allowed to be wrong, but it's still a good
well.
movie.
Hold on. Let me explain my case. So first, the first two movies very kiddie, which they're fun, they're wholesome, but they're a little too kiddie. Number three is very good with,
See, that's what I would say is my favorite. Is probably number 3.
but the story I feel like it doesn't have as much depth as I want it to. There's like
Mm,
there's only a plot. There's no A, B, or C. Whereas in Goblet of Fire, there's a lot of different things. Like
yes,
I
there's a
mean,
lot
there's
of different plot lines going on.
exactly and it feels it's not so dark like the older movies in the series are, where like the world's going to shit, Voldemort's back. This is like when he comes back, where you've got a dragon, you've got an underwater like mermaid part,
I mean,
you've got a giant maze, you've got a fancy ball that they have to attend. You've got Mad Eye Moody is fucking great.
don't get me wrong. There is a ton to like in that movie. I really love how the time travel is done in number 3. It's like
That part
my
is good.
favorite
That part is very
instance
good.
of movie time travel pretty much ever because it's done in such a smart way.
That part is very good. I will agree with that. But I watched
I would agree that Goblet of Fire just has a lot more variety in things going on though.
yeah, it's a lot of different spices going on. I did watch a movie called I don't know if you've heard of this. I only saw this because I'm trying to get through my Tubi watch list because I don't know why I had one at some point. But
I cannot take the name of that streaming service seriously. That's like if you asked The Simpsons to make up a fake streaming service. I have I have, Tubi or Mubu. Like it doesn't sound real.
Hey, it's free, and yes, there's a little
I
bit of
I
ads at the beginning, but it's not bad. Just saying. It's called the
I get
Sisters.
it. Just
Have you heard of the Sisters Brothers?
with John C. Riley and
John
Joaquin
C.
Phoenix.
Riley and Jake Gyllenhaal and Aziz Ahmed or whatever. Or no, what's his name? The
I
guy who
don't
was in the
know.
first Venom movie. He was in
Aziz
the sound.
Ansari? No, no,
Yeah,
no. That's a different guy.
no.
Riz
Raz.
Ahmed
That's who it is. Yes,
in The Sound of Metal, which that's a great movie.
I've seen bits of it, and it's oof,
It is
oof.
super rough, but that is a great movie.
Either way, the poster for it, I was like, oh, this looks pretty dope. And the cast is like kind of eclectic, but kind of cool. And apparently, the director has a new movie coming out. I mean, I think it came out this year that's getting a lot of buzz. It's called Amelia Perez. That's got a bunch of people in it.
I've never heard of it.
But yeah, if it's got, I mean, Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez in like a serious role. I don't know.
Amelia
Either way, the
Perez?
movie was kind of so-so.
That's unfortunate.
But that's again, usually I've got like twice the amount of those to talk about. But and maybe as a good segue, folks, if you're curious about all the things that I watch, because I do watch a fair bit of movies, there is another podcast that I do solo once a week. It's only about like 15 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes, called Dunk's Movie Corner Podcast or Dunk's Movie Corner, where I just quickly like review all the things that I watched in a week. And again, it's mostly a companion podcast to this one because usually I'm just referencing things that we're going to talk about here. But just in case you want a little bit more than what you're getting here, there is that as well. Did you watch or
I
have anything coming?
so I haven't watched anything in that time. I've had some busy stuff going on with the holidays and work. However, I'm still looking forward to watching Hundreds of Beavers in the next couple days, and that's kind of all I'm looking forward to. Outside of Nosferatu comes out Christmas Day, which I'm looking forward to immensely.
Yeah. I would still like to go see
It
Gladiator.
I don't know. I mean, it might be okay, but I feel like every time we talk about this, I bring up the same thing. So I'm not going to beat it into the earth anymore. I'm just not completely sold on it.
No, I'm not either, but like I'd like to at least give it a chance.